What's up, SNA fans? This is Super Ninja Austin back here with another video. This time it's not really. Thank you, Michael Vasquez. Yeah, always a pleasure to be uploading these kind of videos. But anyways, that came to us last night, and I was too busy doing those kind of videos. I decided to do something a little bit more different this time, and on Sundays, doing a wrestling review on Sunday in general, and also on especially AEW Collision specifically, and I would say this is the first time I'll do a wrestling down on last night's AEW Collision, which started off with John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. It was a very, I'll say, decently tremendous match, I would say. And this is where we start off, with Claudio Castagnoli, Claudio Castagnoli and taking on Shane Taylor and what's his name, John Moxley. Okay, there it is. Okay, we start off on this tag team match in the opener of AEW Collision. Castagnoli, with Claudio Castagnoli, start off with Shane Taylor. This is where they started fighting it out, and then this is where he tagged in Lee Moriarty. This is where Lee Moriarty hit. This is where Lee Moriarty hit a flying head scissors maneuver, but Claudio spins him right back around, right off of him. This is where he gets booted right to his face by Shane Taylor. This is where John Moxley got very ticked off. Well, or was it no, the other way around? It was Lee Moriarty and Claudio Castagnoli. My apologies, my SNA fans, but this is where John Moxley pushes Lee Moriarty right on the outside with a spear, and they got sent right to the outside into the right corner ringside area. This is where we had Shane Taylor place Claudio right into the bottom left corner. This is where This is where John Moxley grabs onto Lee Moriarty, but Shane Taylor hits a big right forearm right to the back of John Moxley and throw him right to barricade. It was Simba the Steel Steps. That's what it was. And then this is where Shane Taylor picks up John Moxley. This is where he's trying to throw him right in the right corner side barricade. And then this is where Shane Taylor trying to catch a breather. This is where we got Lee Moriarty was like, come on, my friend, like, let's get him, or come on, brother, like, let's beat these combat psychopaths up. And this is where they started throwing them right to barricade, with Shane Taylor throwing Claudio right to the right corner side. And then in the top corner was John Moxley doing it to or Lee Moriarty right to John Moxley. This is where he smashed his fingers in the process. John Moxley was like, my hand. And this is where and then what's his name started sarcastically crying. Lee Moriarty was like, boo-hoo-hoo, go cry me a river. Well, he didn't really say go cry me a river, but you get the point. This is where Shane Taylor grabs onto Claudio's head. This is where he guillotines him like into his corner side, right into the bottom right side to tag in Lee Moriarty. This is where Claudio start elbow striking both Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty at the same damn time. And this is where Moriarty got in the ring. This is where Lee Moriarty had the had to hold him down and got him into a double underhook suplex right on in the middle of the canvas. And this is where it got him in an arm lock. This is where Lee Moriarty's like, come on, tap out so he can give us the win. And this is where Claudio's like, no way, Lee Moriarty. And this is where he slammed him right to the ground. This is where Shane Taylor tagged himself in the match. And this is where he hit him with a huge forearm right into poor Claudio's face and the body slam and a standing elbow drop. This is where he tried to go for a pin onto to the Swiss sideboard, but he kicks out of it at 2.8, I believe. This is where Shane Taylor tried to go for a suplex right onto the former Ring of Honor champion, but this is where Claudio counters and started holding himself up so he won't get suplexed, and he then turned it around and hit a standing suplex of his own, of course. This is where Claudio's like, yeah, like, it's time for some more moves. This is where Lee Moriarty tagged in. This is where Claudio tags in Moxley for the hot tag, even though he wasn't down. This is where the former Dean Ambrose did start whacking clotheslines right onto Moriarty. And this is where he hits this suplex flip that probably made Pete Dunne jealous. And this is where he clotheslines Lee Moriarty. This is where he went right on top of him, started hitting right hands right into the face of Moriarty, where the fans were chanting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, like if it was the previous night on AEW Rampage. That's what it was, AEW Rampage. And this is where what Simon would call it the 80s move in sports entertainment / pro wrestling. This is where John Moxley didn't start biting the head of the Tiger style boy. This is where he got him into a pile driver, but this is where Shane Taylor distracted him by going back into his corner in the right side. I was like John Moxley, regardless, he's going to be over there. So you might as well should have just done the pile driver unless he was coming your way. Then you start getting ready to prepare to plant your boot up his chrome dome of the noggin. And then this is where he tried to run up right onto Lee Moriarty, but he got elbowed in the counter interception by Lee Moriarty. This is where he hits him pad. This is where he kicks him right into his left arm. This is where he went right to the middle ropes. This is where he tried to go for a middle drop kick, but this is where Claudio saved the day and pushes him out of the way, hits him with the middle drop kick, and then but Claudio but it was the other way around. It was like And I see why they call him the Swiss Superman and Cyborg, which now I'm going to start calling him Swiss Superman like they used to call him in WWE. I mean, they call him that in the Cyborg, but maybe I'll start calling him because he backfired. I mean, he made Lee Moriarty's plan go backfire, and he started hitting this Claudio swing right onto Moriarty. This is when Lee Moriarty was like, time out. And then Claudio was like, there's no timeouts in pro wrestling. And this is where he started keep going like 1, 2, 3, 4 forearm. But this time Claudio was prepared. This is where he started hitting the forearm right on of his own to him. This is where he started going forearm to Shane Taylor. This is where he started going. This is where Claudio hits first. And you know the routine. Like if they're gonna face some heels, they're gonna be badass baby faces. But if they're gonna be baby face, they're gonna be the a-hole heel into the situation of things. Like because they're playing this tweener kind of character. Like as you can see about Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston right now, of him spitting them right in the face because he's playing the a-hole because Eddie Kingston is so over right now as a baby face, so he has to play the heel into this situation. But anyways, let's move on to let's get back to this wrestling review. This is where Claudio Castagnoli tried to go for a clothesline, but Shane Taylor was thinking the same thing. They tried to go for a clothesline. They tried to go for a second and third time, and then there still wasn't going down. And this is where they start repeatedly doing that, but nobody wasn't budging. No matter how many times they were doing double clothesline to each other. And this is where Claudio spin around, hit a European uppercut, a twirly or should I say a twirling discus European uppercut. And then this is where he finally got him down. This is where he closed on him out of the ring. This is where Lee Moriarty eliminated him. Eliminated him outside. Like, and I was like, you're in the wrong company right now. Like wrong company for doing that. Like, if you want to be in the Rumble, why don't you just ask? Well, easy said and done. But either way, wrong show. But in our company, in that to be the exact. But anyway, this is where Jon Moxley he had to step up his gear. He ducks. This is where he tries slides down. Moxley. This is where he tried to go for a roll up into a German suplex. But this is where Lee Moriarty counters him. This is where he goes for a roll up, like a leg wheeling roll up, like which is kind of like the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. This is where Jon Moxley had him in the rear naked choke. This is where Jon Moxley did, but this is where Lee Moriarty did learn from the last time from the night prior on Rampage, and this is where he flips right over, and this is where he got him redoing, grabbing his arms and trying to use them as his disadvantage with hitting the most devastating move in all the sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. This is where Jon Moxley then kicks out of it. This is where Lee Moriarty tried to go for his next strike onto the former AEW World Champion. This is where Jon Moxley hit him with the two bird signs and hit him with a RKO like Mox cutter out of nowhere. And then this is where Jon Moxley was like, "Yeah, I want to do one more thing. Like, that is the move that everybody knows that I do well." Which he looks like he's about to hit the Death Rider right onto Lee Moriarty. This is where Lee Moriarty hits a sideways kick right into the midsection after doing a wrist lock right onto Moxley in an intercepting counter. This is where Shane Taylor was like, "Come on, I turn around, bro." Like, we was trying to get ready to hit a big right. And then this is where Claudio Castagnoli was like, "Nope, not if you have his Blackpool Combat Club buddy on his side." And this is where he was right behind him, turned him around. This is where he hit a big European uppercut. And this is where he hit him with he was about to hit him with a spine buster, but he waited for Jon Moxley to get back up, to run right to the top corner ropes, right behind him. He hit a running lariat and to a spine buster comeback move and a double foot stomp. This is where Lee Moriarty tried to help his friend Shane Taylor out, but he gets intercepted with a big European uppercut. This is where then Jon Moxley grabs and start getting some retribution on Shane Taylor from last night after the night prior, I should say. Yeah, right on this foot right into his face, and Shane Taylor was getting smashed with those stomps right into the face when he grabbed his, because this is what Shane Taylor did back on Rampage when he attacked him with that right hand out of nowhere, that cheap shot, I should say. This is what Jon Moxley's like, "I'm not gonna stop until he's out." And then this is where he's like, "All right, I guess he's about to be out, so I might as well put him in the red naked sleeper check, red naked choke sleeper hold." This is where Shane Taylor was getting back up on his feet. This is where he's like, "No, I will not let you win. I will not let you win. I gotta get to the ropes." And this is where he's like, "No, like I'll try to do that slam, like a boom, like where he slams him down from getting him off of him," but that hardly worked and did any justice whatsoever. Only a quarter of it. This is where Jon Moxley still had him in the rear naked choke, right locked in. This is where Shane Taylor was feigning slowly but surely, and this is where the referee was like, "Come on, are you out?" Like, which he was out for the submission, for the submittee, I should say. Yeah. Took the ball out. I'm glad to hear that. But anyways, this is where submission, and the referee did a referee stoppage, which it just don't make any sense. It should say, I'll say this was perhaps the fourth match of the night because there's so many great matches. Which we had the second match of the night, which was Eddie Kingston against Willie Mack, and then Bryan Danielson against Nagata, I believe his name is. Yeah, Brian Dempsey and Nagata. That was third match of the night. And the main event was your Devil was the match of the night with Daniel Garcia and Lied. We got Lexi interviewing Commander, but before he can even say anything, that's where the Undisputed Kingdom came out. Well, the three Matt Taven and Mike Bennett came in. This is where Ron was like he was like, yeah, but I want to wish you good luck, and I hope you do beat Orange Cassidy. So, I hope I make a proposition for you, Commander. If you can beat, like if he's the champion and he's only going to be the number one contender, challenger, of course, but that doesn't make any sense. Like being like that doesn't really make it fair for him unless he wants to challenge Roderick Strong for his championship. But yeah, and what were pointless matches to be exact, plural, not singular. But anyways, this is where we got Commander with a K came out to face the night prior on Rampage by defeating El Hijo del Vikingo and Kip Sabian and the Butcher in the four-way number one contenders match. This is where Orange Cassidy was like, hands in the pocket. This is where Commander's like, oh, you putting the hands in my hand? Like, thank you, nice to meet you. And this is where he's about giving a hug, trying to do like what best friends do best and give hugs. And this is where I'm surprised that none of the commentators. Well, I think it's probably Excalibur's catchphrase to say it like, you just gotta give the people what they want. But anyways, this is where Commander started going for arm lock and then wrist lock, I should say, and then try to go for a kind of arm drag. But this is where Orange Cassidy beat him to it and counter out of it, hit him with a arm drag of his own to try to go for a pin. But this is where he kicks out. But this is where he kicks out of it. This is where Orange Cassidy can try to go for a pin of his own, but he gets countered by Commander with a K. But then you start going back and forth of who's gonna pin who. This is where Commander was like, he's like I gotta admit, like you are who you say you are. Like you're a fighting champion and a great one at that. Like, and this is where he tried to. Orange Cassidy like, finally, I'm gonna put my hands in my pocket. Like, like you're gonna put your hands on my hands so I can drag you and snap you down. This is where Orange Cassidy gets back up, twists his arms, twist the Commander's arm. This is where Irish whip him right to the left corner side ropes. This is where I try to go for a close on to Commander, but Commander ducks, and this is where he runs right onto the right corner side. This is where Orange Cassidy started trying to do that vertebraker, but this is where Commander with a K counters out of it. This is where breaking the vertebraker, but because he was trying to gain balance, but this is where Orange Cassidy beat him to it, putting his legs up back putting his foot right onto the canvas and try to go for a vertebraker of his own, but this is where what's his name? Commander finally got another chance of doing it by countering out of his vertebraker. And then this is where he got him down, but this time he was like, you know what, I have a better move to do. And then this is where he tried to go for a reverse Alabama slam, which I don't know what he was waiting on, because this is where Orange Cassidy got his hands right onto his pockets. This is where Orange Cassidy then was on his head or shoulders, I should say. This is where he got right up. This is where I believe these hands to the pockets really are powerful, because as soon as he was up, he got off of. This is where Commander with a K then started going for a clothesline right onto his head. But this is where he flipped right over, dodges him right into a roll, like do a front flip maneuver. This is where Commander with a K trips him right over. This is where Commander then go for a pin, but this is where Orange Cassidy kicks out of it. This is where Orange Cassidy tried to go for a middle drop kick when he Irish whip him right to the bottom corner side ropes, or was it Commander running through there to do the ropes? But yeah, he hanged off the ropes. This is where Orange Cassidy tried to go for a drop kick, but he missed by a second. This is where then the commander with a K was grabbing onto his ropes. He was like, so what now? And this is where the fans are chanting freshly squeezed. This is where Commander with a K tried to go for this sideways fireman's carry. In which he turned into a flying head scissor like maneuver. This is where Orange Cassidy does a kip up. This is where he's like, this is where he put his finger but this is where Commander with a K didn't go for a suicide dive right from the right corner side. This is where he knew Orange Cassidy was coming back in. This is where he does a flip right into his legs into a back flip, which looked very similar to Ricochet. Like, and I hope that Ricochet wasn't watching this play, but even though he took my Intercontinental Championship away from me, but maybe Gunther might have a point about AEW wrestlers. But anyways, this is where Orange Cassidy was like, he did his backflip, which was very impressive. I was like, who's the inventor of this move? Because both guys do it very well. Like, and they look like professionals and very successful when they do it. But anyway, this is where Orange Cassidy ran right through the bottom corner rope. So I go for a flying head scissor DDT. But this is where Commander with the K's like, no way, Jose. Like, this is where he picks him up. This is where I try to go for a suplex. But this is where Orange Cassidy counters and spins around to a split dog millionaire stunner right onto the Commander. This is where he runs right to the left corner side ropes. This is where he try to go for another flying head scissor DDT, which second time was a charm because it is a guaranteed, even though I think that's a signature move. But yeah, it still hit what's his name, a Commander with a K with that move. This is where Orange Cassidy was getting ready to hit his signature move, the move he'll never hit Super Ninja Austin in his entire career in professional wrestling, the Orange Punch. This is where he took off the elbow pad, like off. This is where he was about to. This is where it was like, oh, like shucks, like he had to move right out of the ring. Once I was trying to hit this maneuver, this is where Orange Cassidy was like, and this is where we had Roderick Strong and his boys, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett of the Undisputed Kingdom, coming out of the ring into the ringside with their chairs sitting in the left corner ringside. He was like, oh great, like they're out here, like what's next? And then this is where we got Orange Cassidy and we got Commander K back in the ring. This is where they start fighting right into the bottom corner turnbuckle. This is where what's his name? Orange Cassidy then try to go for he Irish him right to the other side, right into the upper left corner turnbuckle. This is where Orange Cassidy got right onto the bottom right. This is where he tried to go for a crossbody, which is the ultimate comeback move. But I think Braun Breaker killed it as soon as who hit the crossbody onto, or tried to go for a crossbody on the Braun Breaker. But whoever it was, Braun Breaker killed that. So yeah, if you wonder why the crossbody is no longer the ultimate comeback move, blame it on Braun Breaker, a man that loves to bark. Like, man, what is up with barking wrestlers, except for Titus O'Neil, killing maneuvers and inanimate objects that came to life? But anyway, this is where Commander hit a springboard crossbody, and this was his crossbody of his own, of course. This is where he tried to go for a pin, but this is where he tried to go for one, tried to go for two, but this is where the current international champion kicks out at 2.5, at 2.5 even. This is where he tried to go for a suplex, but this is where Orange Cassidy punches him out of the suplex, looking like if he can't be a guy that can be suplexed, the second guy that cannot be suplexed next to Kevin Owens, of course. This is where he then Irish whip Commander with a K right into the left-hand side ropes. This is where he tried to go for a back fist, but this is where Orange Cassidy. This is where, but not Orange Cassidy, Commander went duck out of it and went right to the right side ropes. This is where he goes for a flying head scissor DDT. Like, I have not seen nobody did this move until Rey Mysterio started doing this. either him or Eddie Guerrero. But anyway, this is where Commander with a K was like, what's next? And this is where he tried to go for a knife edge chop, which they were off the hook from last night because Gunther was worried about 29 other superstars, so he was not going to add them to the MV list. But this is the one night only that they're going to get a free of charge chops. But Orange Cassidy ducks out of the way. I guess he was filling in for Gunther because he did not want to do chops because he had the super kick. This is where Orange Cassidy was like, he went towards right to the bottom corner, right, the upper left corner turnbuckle with him doing like and pointing at him. This is where he tried to go for a kick right to the face when he was in the bottom turnbuckle in the upper left. This is where he got back up and hit a kick to intercept. This is where he elbows him. This is where he tried to go for a springboard crossbody, but this is where Orange Cassidy dodges the first time, but luckily Commander was still hanging on to the top rope, so he did it. But this time he had the springboard Canadian Destroyer, like if he was Adam Cole or Bad Bunny. This is where he picks him up. This is where he's about to hit his move. This reverse fireman's carry into a knee to the midsection. And whatever it's called, I don't know, but this is where he tried to go for the pin with this maneuver. But this is where Orange Cassidy then kicks out at 2.999999999999999 double triple 0.1 away from being 3. This is where Commander with a K then start saying, like, I thought for sure that was gonna work. Like, how did it not work? This is where Matt Taven and Mike Bennett was like, come on, come on, like he's still in your hands. Like he's still you still haven't won. Like you just need to hit one more finisher to defeat him. And I agree with him because Orange Cassidy, if he didn't reverse as soon as when he did so, like we would have seen a new international champion, at least in kayfabe, of course. But this is where Roderick Strong's ignorant ass was like, yeah, come on, amigo. I was like, be careful saying that. This is where Commander with a K went up right into the bottom right corner turnbuckle. This is where he tried to go for, I believe, a frostbite because he started doing the Latino heat shimmy, something that they would say on the taunting options on AEW Fight Forever. This is where he tried to go for a frog splash, which he did so. And this is where it looked like we got a new champion right here, too. But Orange Cassidy kicks out at the last. I was like, where is Orange Cassidy getting this power? Like at 2.99999999999 double triple 0.1 away from being 3. This is where the Commander with K tried to go for a pile driver. It looked like a tombstone pile. But this is where Orange Cassidy's or some kind of a pile driver lock. Or I'll say some kind of pile driver submission, which even Nigel McGuinness and Tony Schiavone and Kevin Kelly was trying to figure out what Commander with a K was doing to Orange Cassidy. He was desperate of doing whatever move that get him the international champion. But this is where Orange Cassidy is like your luck just ran out. This is where he flips him over to a wheelbarrow into a roll up, but he nearly got him by a 3. But he also kicked out at 2.99999999999 double triple 0.1 away from being 3. This is where he tried to go for a kick. He does a back roundhouse kick right to the face. This is where he runs and hits a big boot right to the face. This is where he runs right onto the left corner side. This is where he tried to go for a Canadian Destroyer. But this is where he picks up another Canadian Destroyer, but it wasn't a guarantee. Because he already hit that move, even though that was off the middle ropes, but still, like, it still wasn't enough it still wasn't, but still, like, it still wasn't guaranteed because you know the rules. But this is where Orange Cassidy hits the beach break right onto him in the middle of the ring. This is where he almost got him at the 3, 1, 2, but it kicks out 2.9999999 double triple 0.1 away from being 3. Which that looks useless without the move that he cannot use on the assassin here, which is a big orange bobble punch, I should say. Is where Orange Cassidy went up on the top rope. I'm like, what are you doing, Orange? Like, that's hardly in your vocabulary. So nothing that you're trying to put away is not going to work on the top unless you can prove me wrong. But other than that, I don't know if this is gonna work. But this is where Commander with a K caught him off the top. This is where trying to hit him with the Spanish fly, but this is where Orange Cassidy start hammering with right knuckles. This is where he pushed him right on the top corner, of the ropes. This is where Commander with a K started hitting nothing but Instagiri kicks right onto the head. Or it wasn't Pele kicks. I think it was Pele kicks right onto Orange Cassidy, right off the top. This is where Commander with a K then hit the springboard right on the right side, jumped up right onto the top ropes on the left corner side, and caught him right off the top ropes on the top corner side into a Hurricane Rana. This is where Commander was like, he was like this is where he was. What Spanish word I should use? I'm not trying to sound like the R word. Like he was like excelente arriba. Hopefully I got it right. Excellent up. Yeah, which that made any sense. But anyway, this is where he runs into the bottom corner side. This is where he hits a pop-up Hurricane Rana right onto Orange Cassidy. This is where he got him pinned. Looked like he thought he was going to beat him, but Orange Cassidy was not going to get up. Not going to give up and let him beat him by just the ordinary Hurricane Rana. But this is where, he kicks out at 2.2. But I'll say if it was that Hurricane Rana the first time with the springboard, I think they would have gotten him there, may have. But this is where Commander with a K then started walking up the top ropes. This is where I believe Roderick Strong went right onto the right corner apron, tried to distract the referee. So his boys Matt and Mike then try to grab on the Orange. And this is where he's like, okay, like if you say so. This is where he waited at the last minute, and this is where Orange Cassidy went right back in the ring right on time when Matt Taven and Mike Bennett distracted with Commander coming their way, and he landed right on both of them, top of them. And then Commander was like, come on, like, ole, ole, like, this is where he's like, around, and this is where he tried to get back in the ring, but I believe he waited too long because Orange Cassidy got back up. He hits the move that he never hit on Super Ninja Austin, the orange punch right into his face. This is where he didn't go for the pin, and I believe that's what got him the 1, 2, 3. Yeah, which he's still the AEW International Champion, and your winner, and still the AEW International Champion in the first mid-card match of the night. Orange for freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy to show that respect to the Orange superstar or pro wrestler. And this is where we got Roderick Strong trying to give his AEW International Championship by snatching to the referee's hands. Just like, we came in peace. Like, don't get alarmed. We just want. This is where we just want to give you your championship. This is where Orange Cassidy's like, whatever. Like, just give it here. And this is where he dropped it before he can even retrieve his championship gold. And this is where he's like, here, pick it up yourself. Like. He was like, that title will be mine in a month and a half from now. And I'm like, what made you so sure about that? And don't get too full of yourself, Roddy, because he could Orange Cassidy could humble you, and you probably be the next guy who will Orange Punch, like as soon as he sees you again. Well, yeah, that could happen. You never know. But anyways, this is where Orange Cassidy picks up Commander with a K. Happy for you. Like, you put on well performer. Like, and I hope you'll be a number one. Hopefully, you'll be number one contender against me again, so we can have another classic like we just did. But again, it was only the fourth match of the night, or fifth. I think it was the fifth match of the night. Then again, I think Moxley taking on Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty was a very good match, but it goes up to move into the fifth match of the night, and then put Orange Cassidy and Commander with a K is the fourth match of the night. This is where we got this is where Matt Menard didn't go for went right towards Daniel Garcia. I think I had a hunch that I went to Daniel Garcia because he was down on the ground, right down onto the ground in a bloody mess, like and he got hit with the railing, like because the railing was right beneath Daniel Garcia. And this is where he's like, referee, we need some help. And this referee's like, yeah, bring in the paramedics. And this is where the paramedics came in, and took him to the doctor's room. And I was like, so it had to be Malachi, Brody, and always getting into these very volatile, hilarious but volatile but funny situations, I should say. Yeah. But anyway, this is where we try to see if Daniel Garcia was going to be back in the could make a comeback and be clear enough to compete on tonight's six-man steel cage match. Yeah. Which I'm gonna be a spoiler here. He is. But anyway, let's move on to the next slide, and that was this is where we got Mariah May in her second match of her career, I believe, in AEW. But this is where Tony Storm was like you, Donna, like you're gonna pay for what you did to my butler Luther here, and that's gonna be you're gonna be paying the price when I defend my AEW Women's title at Revolution. This is where Mariah May's like, excuse me, this coming Saturday at AEW Collision. This is where Tony Storm was like, I'm not allowed there, so it looks like I'm gonna have to skip. Looks like I'm gonna have to skip another of your match. I wish I could watch it, but I'm not allowed to that location whatsoever. And this is where Luther was like, no, like yeah, you're basically pretty much banned from there. But anyway, this is where she was like, maybe the next time, like which I'll say again in the next 7,755 years from now. But anyways. This is where we do got Mariah May in her next match, which was against Lady Frost, because this is the women's wrestler she very first as her second women's wrestler that she wrestled in AEW since her debut, and this is the second time she faced her in America. But anyway, this is where we do have this match. I'll say it wasn't the best match, but I think this was a very interesting contest. Like to see what's next for the young Britain star of what's her name? The young Britain star of Mariah May, which match with them start hitting strikes onto each other's faces, like boom, 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 until Lady Frost had the upper hand, start hitting right hands. Heading towards the left corner side the left corner side ropes. This is where he started hitting right hands. This is where Mariah May then turned her around, started hitting right hands on her face. This is where they start spinning each other around, and this is where Lady Frost sends her right into the back first, right into the bottom left corner side of the turnbuckle. This is where he started. This is where and then this is where Mariah May's like, yo, you want to play it you want to play it brutal, huh? She hits a double chops right into her shoulder. She was like, ow, that's very painful. She hit the cartwheel front foot. This is where she's like, come here, Mariah May. She hit the super kick right into her midsection. This is where she tried to go for a running right to the top corner ropes. This is where she hit the spinning neck breaker right into the middle canvas. This is where she tried to go for a pin, but this is where Mariah May kicks out at 2.3, I believe. Yeah. This is where Lady Frost is like, come on. And this is where she right to the right corner side. And then, and before I continue, this is not going to be the only women's match. Maybe they only had two matches, but still, like they're starting to pay attention more of their women's division, starting to kind of improve that, and maybe Eric Bischoff could be wrong. We could see Mercedes Moné bring some more star power in the women's division in AEW. Which that's the only thing I would agree with Tony Khan. Like if he has her in the deal, like maybe you should have her capitalize on every opportunity and make the women's division more watchable and more must see. But anyways, this is where Mariah May then dodge out of the way, like as soon as Lady Frost was coming, and she hits her where she flips her right back down. This is where she picks up Lady Frost into her knees. This is where she runs right into the bottom right corner. This is where she hits a middle drop kick right to her face, send her right back down to the canvas. This is where Mariah May's like, and thank you. And then she started doing the pose like that, trying to be like her her idol, what's her name? Timeless Tony Storm. I was like, there's already enough that we have only one actress that looked like in the 1920s. Like, we don't need another one. Like, even though this is kind of part of like the storyline of that old movie, like that old classical movie with the with the uh with the famous actress, like, has a fan, and then she was trying to take her place and all. Like, yeah, which that's another story for another day. But anyway, this is where she grabs onto to this is where she grabs on the Lady Frost, flips her right over. This is where she throws her into the top corner side onto the ringside area. I was like, what you did that for? Like, you could have just went out in the first place and just threw her into that corner, into the top corner, like, right, to save you time. But anyway, this is where she rammed her back first right onto the top corner of Barry Barricade's tombstone. This is where she hit Lady Frost right into her face, right onto the hardest part of the ring apron. This is where Mariah May to hit a German suplex as soon as she got back in the ring. This is where she hit the German. This is where Lady Frost went right behind her and got back up and hit a German suplex of her own. She was like, "You're not the one that's very enthusiastic about German suplexes, because I am too." This is where she started slamming her hands right onto the ground. This is where she was like, "Come on here, if I get it." I get over here. This is where she picks her up into a spinning, spinning slam maneuver right down to the ground. This is where she got to go for a pin, but this is where Mariah May kicks out at 2.6, I believe. This is where Lady Frost was like, "Come on, like, what's not working?" Like, and this is where she was like my power of freezing Mariah May should be working. I was like. If it was working, then Mariah May, I'm pretty sure Mariah May would be frozen by now. But anyway, this is where Mariah May was in the left corner side onto the apron. This is where he tried to grab on the Mariah May with her hair, but this is where the referee's like, "Be careful grabbing her hair." This is where Mariah May then took advantage, hit a hot shot, what's that thing? Hot shot right through the ropes. This is where she was like, "I'm okay." Like, on her neck, though, she hit her right in her neck. This is where she went right on the top rope. This is where she hit the middle drop kick right onto the midsection of Lady Frost. This is where she tried to This is where she tried to go for a running attack move right onto Lady Frost. This is where she move out of the way, so she hit herself, and she landed right onto the bottom turnbuckle after she basically just harmed herself right onto the upper right corner. This is where Lady Frost went right to the bottom corner turnbuckle, like, and this is where diagonal from right on to what's her name? Right on to what's her name? Mariah May. That's what her name is. I'm nearly forgetting her name. Just like it's more the time as Tony Storm has. Huh? But anyway, this is where Lady Frost did a cartwheel cannonball right into the face of Mariah May. This is where she stopped. That's where she stomps right onto her. This is where she tried to go for a frost splash and completely frozen her. I was like, it's about time they're trying to freeze her for good. This is where she tried to go for a. This is where he tried to go for a moonsault right off the top rope. This is where Lady Frost is like, "Come, like, let's go, people, like, let's." And this is where then Mariah May to try to go for a German suplex, but this is where Lady Frost is the back elbow right in the face of Mariah May. This is where we got Lady Frost was still on the mid road, but this is where she tried to kick her right in the face. And this is where Lady Frost, this is where we hear some Lady Frost chants from the fans. This is where Nigel McGuinness was starting to sound more like Corey Graves, saying, "Don't listen to Mariah. They just want Lady Frost marks on Subway. My signature move, which is mine's the Assassin Valley Drop. Her name, hers is Mayday. Yeah, like." Which I believe it's called Mayday because she puts it and slams her like a leg driver, which she calls it the Mayday to get the 1, 2, 3. And your winner of the second mid card match, Mariah May. And what's your thoughts on this match? I thought it was pretty interesting and entertaining in a way for the women's division. Like I think they're gonna have so much. They have so much hope for the young, I guess you could say. And what's your thoughts on this win? And do you think that she's going to, excuse me, going to be the one that should dethrone Thomas Tony Storm instead of Deonna Purrazzo? Or do you think it should be somebody totally different, like perhaps a certain CEO? Let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, I think they're finally improving the women's division, even though they haven't did a pack, if you know what I mean. But next up, this is where we got Swerve Strickland send a message to Hangman Adam Page, which he said, like, my opponent that I'm gonna choose for you is going to be my main man, one of my main men of the Mogul Embassy, like Toa Liona. Yeah. And this is where it's like, hey man, Adam Page, like your days as the main eventer are soon. There's gonna be soon to be a sad end, like because Liona is gonna release on you, and in the gates of agony, like and it shows his mouth right on the screen. I was like, I'm not sure if that was absolutely necessary, but yeah, I'm gonna feel so bad for the Cowboy and former AEW champion for being in the ring with somebody that's like nearly 10 times his size. It is where Hangman Adam Page was like, swerve, like you want to have Toa Liona from the Mogul Embassy. That's great, like because I'm AEW, like he was like, and then like it will be your first day, like because I got the opponent just for you, a match Swerve for you. Like I get to pick your man, earned their spot in this division. And nothing like Bryan Danielson that disrespect me with the a-hole that he is of spitting in my face. He's trying to get a reaction what I would do when I first came into this business. Like, but I'm not like the same Eddie 4 years ago. But anyways, I'm more of a professional Eddie because I'm in the professional establishment as a professional champion. This is where we do get the matches where we got a very impressive contest from the Mad King and Willie. Like this is why they're getting number 2 on this list. And as much as I like Bryan Danielson, like in the Nagata match, I just think it was just something like you were watching a mid-card match in New Japan Pro Wrestling. That it's not insulting. I'm saying it's just like mid-card worthy. Yeah, only mid-card worthy, but it still was pretty good though. I'm not criticizing or talking trash on it. I'm just saying like on the levels in the wrestling business. Even though I'm not a wrestling a specialist, but I am but I'm seeing how I would see it in pro wrestling. Like, what if it's AEW, TNA, New Japan, WWE, like whatever it may be. Yeah, this is where Willie Mack picked up Eddie Kingston, hits a running marching suplex right onto Kingston. This is where he tried to go for a pin, but this is where Eddie Kingston kicks out at 2.8. Willie Mack like, how did he kick out? Like that was a teardrop brainbuster when he hits him with that marching standing brainbuster suplex. This is where then Eddie Kingston went right onto the bottom right corners where This where he hits a big clothesline right onto to Eddie Kingston. Hits a bicycle kick right into the face. This is where Willie Mack then tried to go for his signature move, his ball drop cannonball right onto Eddie Kingston's face. This is where he tried to go for a pin, but Eddie Kingston kicks out at 2.7. He was like, that's the second less than last time. Like, this is where he's like, how is he kicking out like more earlier than before? This is where fans were like, let's go, Eddie, clap, 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 clap. This is where Eddie Kingston would saw that Gunther was too busy with Royal Rumble with 29 other wrestlers in WWE. This is where he tried to take advantage of this moment of getting some free chops without being added to the MVS, even though he wouldn't care if he was on the MVS he's been on for the past months. This is where Eddie Kingston snapmares him, hit a side swiping kick right to the back of what's his name? What's his name? Willie Mack. This is where he started getting kicks in the back and forward. This is where he's like, shoo, and he shoots and hits a big chop, even though it wasn't loud, it was more silent but deadly. This is where Eddie Kingston's like, how you like that? Like unfortunately, being envious onto me, and this is where he gets power slammed by Willie Mack. This is where he's like, now it's time for a moonsault, which he tried to attempt to do onto Eddie Kingston, but I think he actually hurt his head and he just hit a botched senton or botched moonsault, looking like a botched senton. This is where he tried to go for a pin, but Eddie Kingston kicks out at 2.5, and this gets more and more lesser of him kicking out of more quicker than later on. But this is where Willie Mack gets back up. This is where he got back on his legs. Like, I believe he messed up his legs along with his head. This is where he tried to go for a second time with his boulder cannonball, but Eddie Kingston moves out of the way, and this is where he hits his lower back in the process, and I believe his bottom too. This is where Eddie Kingston turns him around. This is where he hits him with an exploder suplex right in the middle of the the canvas, I believe, or the mat, I should say. This is where Eddie Kingston tried to go for a pin, but this is where Willie Mack didn't kick out at 2.99999999999 double triple nines against 2.1 away from being 3. This is where Eddie Kingston was like, all right, like he's down, like let's get him up. This is where Willie Mack tried to go for a power bomb right onto him. He slammed him into a sit-up power bomb right onto him. This is where he tried to go for a pin. Eddie Kingston kicks out at 2.8. And this is where Willie Mack was like, well, at least I'm back on track. But how did he kick out of that move? There's no way in hell that he kicked out of that maneuver. This is where Willie Mack didn't pitch him right back up. This is where he goes for start repeatedly hitting chops right onto the Mad King. But the Mad King was like, yeah, you think you're the master of the chops and making Gunther envious? Like, no, that's on my vocabulary in my category. I'm the guy that makes Gunther more mad than anybody in this roster combined. And this is where I start hitting chops, and he's like, but I think I'm gonna get a free chop, not have to worry about Gunther right now because he's worrying about the Royal Rumble. And he started hitting chops repeatedly onto the chest of Willie Mack. This is where Willie Mack was like, this is where he started hitting a big right knuckle punch right onto the left jaw of the Mad King. This is where he started hitting another one right to his face. He's like, here's another, boom, and he started hitting nothing but blows right into his jaw. This is where what's his name? Eddie Kingston hit a step up insecurity right to the head. This is where he tried to go. This is where Willie Mack hit a stunner right onto Eddie Kingston. This is where he tried to go right into the top turnbuckles, right into the upper right corner. This is where he hits a big. Let's try to go for the 6-star frog splash, how Nigel McGuinness likes to call it. But I don't understand why he wants to Ryan wants to call it 6-star. It's more better than the 5-star. And I'm not sure if this is a near reference to Swerve Strickland's opponent for this Wednesday on Dynamite, but he just said that. But Eddie Kingston put his knees up, hit the back fist, retained his title with the 1-2-3, and still your AEW Continental Crown Champion, Eddie Kingston. And then this is where he celebrated by holding on to his championships. Well, 3 of those championships. And this is where he was he's like, wrap this around my waist. And then this is where he wrapped around his waist. This is where he hold on to this is where he grabbed onto the championships. This is where, but before he had a chance to leave the arena, this is where Bryan Danielson then interrupted his exit, and this is where because he had his match against Nagata, and this was like, you know what, maybe I should stay around, like if he wants to interrupt my exit, to give him a taste of his own medicine. And this is where we got the New Japan star Yuji Nagata, coming out of the ring after Bryan Danielson was already out in the ring. This is where they start spinning around, and they were getting ready to bring put on a mid-card classic, like I should say, which Eddie Kingston's match was like in 3rd mid-card. This was the 4th mid-card match, because we have like 5 different mid-card matches of tonight's AEW Collision, with along with Serena Deeb against Robin Renegade. Yeah. But anyway, this is where they are going spinning around. This is where they try to grab onto each other's hands, but this is where they step back. It was like, you know what, we should just get to the point. And this is where they're grappling. This is where Yuji Nagata grab onto, placed him right to the upper right corner. This is where he hits nothing but plenty of left elbow strikes right to the face. Start stomping onto the midsection and start stomping right to his the left side of the head. And this is where Eddie King's like, he's doing a pretty good job, shutting down and shutting up Bryan Danielson. He's getting what he deserves for spit me right, bringing back to the wrestling business, yeah. And then this is where Bryan Danielson started hitting European uppercuts and then left roundhouse strike, kicks. This is where then he started hitting kicks repeatedly in the upper right corner. This is where he twisted him right in his arm. This is where he hits a left underhook suplex. This is where he tried to go for a pin, but this is where Yuji Nagata kicks out of it. This is where he tried to mess up his arm, like if he was Eddie Kingston, like by doing a cross armor right in the middle of the ring. This is where Yuji Nagata would start locking in his hands, like, no, you're not gonna break my arm. Not today, not any day, Mr. Danielson. This is where Yuji Nagata puts his legs right on the rope when he tried to pull on his arms. But this is where he gets back up. This is where Bryan Danielson's like, never, like, oh well, like, no matter, like, I got plenty of more moves where that came from, like inside this old system for me having almost 20 years of experience in pro wrestling. This is where they start doing like an arm lock in hands, like doing like a grappling, like putting shoulder to shoulder onto each other, like rubbing shoulders. And this is where they're trying to lift up their arms and try to get the upper hand, but they were going back and forth like into this contest. This is where Yuji Nagata won this battle and brought his hand and started crushing his hands and started putting it right on his head when Bryan Danielson was on his double knees. And then this is where he placed him right onto his forehead. This is where he was like, do you surrender now? This is where Bryan Danielson was like, I never surrender. This is where he somehow just flipped right out of it, by using Nagata's head as a footstool and do a backflip. And this is where he got made Yuji Nagata got on his left knees and tried to go for a lock that way. But this is where he gets back up. This is where he pushed him right to the upper right corner, started hitting knife edge chops right onto Bryan Danielson. This is where he started grabbing onto his arm and started trying to bend his arm back, boom. He started bending. He's like, I think he must have broke it. When he bent it right on the shoulders, this is where he started stomping on the Danielson. This is where he grabbed onto his arm, tried to go for it again. This is where he tried to bend it right back. And this is where Danielson was like, no, like, stop doing this to me. Like, you know who I am. Like, quit doing this. And this is where he continued to be more technical, and he threw him right to the bottom right, I believe, turnbuckle. That's where we got Bryan Danielson making a game changer by placing him right into the upper left hand corner and hitting right hands right to his face, like in 80s style, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is where then Bryan Danielson took him to the upper right corner side. This is where he started hitting knife edge chops, hits the lefts and right kicks right onto Yuji Nagata. This is where he started grabbing onto his leg, placed it right onto the outer part of the middle ropes into the right hand side. This is where he ran right from the left corner ropes to the right and hit a middle drop kick right onto the leg. This is where Yuji Nagata was screaming in agony. This is where Bryan Danielson ran right from the bottom left corner onto the turnbuckle and did a huge drop kick right into the upper right. Now, this is where he's like, and this is where Bryan Danielson hits a kick right to his left leg. Was like, oh my God, like my leg. Like, and he's like, but still, like, I'm not going to let this stop me from winning. This is where Bryan Danielson's like, oh, you want to bet? And this is where he grabs his leg and both of his legs, like especially that bad leg, and started swinging it right onto Rita the ring post and started damaging the right hand or the left hamstring, I should say, right onto the left hamstring, right onto Rita the ring post. It was very annihilatingly brutal to watch. Like, ow, like how could he do this to another human being? Like, yeah, he's completely heartless when it comes to damaging his opponents in the ring. But this is where Bryan Danielson went right into the upper right corner. This is where he hits a middle drop kick right onto the New Japan Star. This is where he tried to go for a pin, but Nagata kicks out at 2.7. This is where Bryan Danielson was like, how about go for our elbow strikes, like which on his right or left elbow, right onto the right shoulder of Yuji Nagata, until he tried to hit it one more time. But this is where Nagata grabs onto it. Like, this is where he's like, nope, no more. This is where he bends that arm, but this is where Bryan Danielson, and that didn't phase at all. And this is where he tried to hit the big clothesline, but he gets countered and dodged by Yuji Nagata, and he hits him with a big exploder suplex that sends him right to the upper left corner side. This is where Yuji Nagata was like, come on, I need to get back up and defeat Bryan Danielson. This is where he tried to take a page off his playbook, which is the label lock. He tried to go for his UG arm lock, but he's like, you know what? He was like, what the heck? Like, I might as well, like, I'm facing Danielson here, and this is AEW. Like, what opportunity I'm going to get to do this move? This is where he started doing the label lock right onto Danielson. This is where Danielson started crawling back up. This is where he tried to get this is where he trying to look like he was about to tap out, but he was like, you know what? I'm gonna flip you right over. This like I'm gonna hit another submission move of my own, and this is what he snapped back his Nagata's leg, started hitting the Achilles lock, the dragon screw Achilles lock, I guess it's called. Yeah. This is where Bryan Danielson was getting kicked right into the face of the American Dragon. This is where Nagata was like, man, like I thought I would never get him off him when he kicks him right in the face. This is where Nagata tried to get back up, but he was having trouble because that leg was quarterly messed up because of him getting bent back by the American Dragon. And this is where Brian Danielson started hitting right hands right into his face, and this is where Eugene Nagano tried to go back, but Brian Danielson was doing it more more than Nagano was, and this is where I was looking from the left corner, the right corner side to the left, but this is where Nagano counted into the upper left. This is where he suplexed him right into the upper left corner side. This is where he started hitting big headbutts right onto the face of the Japanese star. This is where Nagano was like, you think you're gonna bring me down with a few measly headbutts? Like, I've got hit with worse moves in my head before. Like, keep trying your best. Like, this is where, and then this is where Brian Danielson is like, okay, how about this? It was probably as hard as it can be. This is where Nagano was like, that may have hurt, but I'm still standing. And this is where he started hitting big, too easy forearms that looked like too hard hits, like that anybody could barely do. Like, we was hitting him like if he was trying to hit the hardest hitting too hard, like, because he does have a strong style background, but on how the wrestlers in Japan wrestle, like, because it's more like a strong style hit in that company in New Japan and any Japanese promotions over in that country. But anyway, this is where he has a hip suplex right onto Brian Danielson. That's where then he tried to go for a pinfall, but the referee counted the 1, counted the 2, but Danielson kicks out at 2.99999999999, double triple 9, 0.1 away from being 3. This is where he hit the face lock, which I guess I was mistaken because Brian Danielson does it in a different move. He puts it in his leg rather than on and then in his leg. This is where then he turned it to his armbar lock, like into the middle of the ring. This is where Eugene Nagata nearly had him tapped out. This is where he was bending it back, like looked like he could break it, but he's trying to be a professional and trying to lock it in and trying to make him tap out. But Brian Danielson was not gonna break and crack and tap, I should say. And so he smartly put his foot right onto the bottom ropes for a rope break. And then Eugene Nagata had no choice but to let go. And then this is where Eddie Kingston was like, I got to give Danielson credit, like, for putting his legs on the ropes. Like, I got to hand it to him. And then this is where Eugene Nagata tried to go for a spinning back suplex, but Danielson started hanging on to him. This is where he's like, nope, not today, not any day. This is where he started elbowing him right into his head. This is where Danielson was like, nope, you're not going to beat me with this move. This is where Nagata then hit a step-up Instagiri right up in his head. This is where he goes for a spinning back suplex, but this is where he gets knee right to his face. This is where he kicks him right to the left side of his leg. This is where Brian Danielson grabs onto that very same leg and hits him with a dragon screw slam. And then this is where Brian Danielson tried to get back up and try to hit more moves on Nagata. This is where he started coming up with basement straight back roundhouse kicks. This is where Eugene Nagata answered back with kicks of his own. Every time when Brian Danielson hits him at first, he gets him at second. Where the fans are like, yay, boo, and this is where Brian Danielson's like, come on, like, yeah, you can do this. This is where he gets the spinning leg kick right to the head of Nagata. This is where he tried to go for that. Like, he hits it again a second time. And Brian Danielson's like, come on, like, yes, like, I can do this again. This is where he started doing it again. I was like, wait, what? Like, the WWE does not no longer trademarks the Yes Movement. No longer owns the trademark the Yes Movement, and he can use it on as much as he can without them filing a lawsuit against him. Or is it because Vince McMahon's no more in WWE and he's officially erased from everything in the company, and they wouldn't mind if their he hits the running knee, the psycho knee, which they call it, which is not called the running knee. And he got the 1, 2, 3 on Yuji Nagata. And yeah, this was definitely the third match of the night. Like, I would say this was very entertaining, but I just thought like the Eddie Kingston and I would say better, but I would say the Eddie Kingston versus Willie Mack and the House of Black versus FTR and Daniel Garcia was just a little bit great, like just a little bit greater, I should say. Yeah. But yeah, this is where he tried to shake his hand. This is where Eddie Kingston was like, I don't know if you shake his hand, like if you want my advice. This is where this is where Eugene Nagata's like, yeah, you put on one heck of a fight. Like, I respect that from you. This is where they raised each other's hands, like, and this is where it's like, yeah, this is the star you want to face. And this is where Bryan Danielson said respectfully back at Mr. What's his name? Eugene Nagata, yeah. This is where we trying to figure out like what's the health update for Daniel Garcia after getting attacked by FTR. This is where I mean not FTR, House of Black got attacked by House of Black. FTR was wondering like if they're gonna need a teammate. This is where Lexi, the other female reporter, like asked him like what's the updates on what's the updates on Mr. Daniel Garcia. Well, I would say not Mr. I understand why I keep saying Mr. Daniel Garcia, like in Mr. and any other wrestlers, but I would say just I'll say just this is where this is where the this one half of them boys, or in case if